Good evening. My presentation today is about death of a child, miscarriage or stillbirth, infant death, and loss of older children. My name is Kashmir Ball. I am a family consumer sciences child development major from Charleston, South Carolina. I chose this topic because I wanted to learn more in depth of how the death of a child or lost one affects and how it affects within their relationship, marriage, and or family. In this presentation, I will be talking about the death of a child, miscarriage or stillbirth, infant death, and loss of older children. A miscarriage, stillbirth, or neonatal death, which is the death of a newborn infant, is a traumatic event for parents, their families, and their communities. Grief is experienced differently by each individual. Parents of children and adolescents who die suffer a wide variety of difficult mental and physical symptoms. Depression is characterized by intense feelings of sadness, despair, helplessness, loneliness, abandonment, and a wish to die. The sexual intimacy of the couple is usually interrupted by the death of a child. Men usually want to return more quickly to their sexual relationship, sometimes within a week, as they crave the comfort and escape from grief that sex provides. It tends to help them feel alive and pleasurable. However, some men lose interest in sex, and usually this stems from the feeling of how they cannot protect their child who died. They feel worthless and inadequate, which equates to being unable to function sexually. They become so depleted with sadness. Grief tends to leave women sexually numb, uninterested in sex, and basically unable to respond. They feel they should not engage in anything pleasurable while their child is dead. Many times they have a fear of pregnancy. After all, their husband was the procreator of the child who died. Their memories of sex that culminated in the birth of the child who was now dead cannot be reconciled with sex after the death of their child. Women tend to experience sexual desire out of feelings toward their partner and how things are going in a relationship. They need to feel comfortable with their partner and their own body, and they need the freedom to set aside concerns of the day and what is on her mind to freely respond and enjoy sex. Insomnia, loss of appetite, confusion, inability to concentrate, and obsessive thoughts are common physical symptoms experienced by parents. Sadness and despair can also be accompanied by extreme feelings of vulnerability, anxiety, panic, and hypervigilance. Another hurdle that many couples feel is being out in public and enjoying themselves. Usually, one partner is ready to go out socializing before the other. They tend to feel people are watching them, expect them to feel morals since their child has died, and that they should not laugh again or have fun. One way to help a couple overcome this barrier is to suggest that they go somewhere where they do not see people they know. They could go for a walk on the beach or go to a restaurant they have never been to, and the likelihood of running into anybody they know is nil. Usually, after breaking the barrier, once it becomes easier. Another suggestion is a vacation. In one case study, the couple went to Hawaii. They ate, they laughed, they played and romped in the sand, they made love, they cried, they went to the movies, and when they returned home after a week, they no longer had the mental barrier. Children who die a sudden death, the parents initially tend to have a more difficult time coping than do those parents who expected the death of their child, but the stress associated with the terminal illness of a child seems to diminish the couple's coping capacity and makes the subsequent adjustment more difficult. Many times, children who have died from a terminal illness leave their parents with huge medical bills, which will greatly impact the parents' lifestyle. A counselor would do well to encourage such parents to seek the help of a money manager, a lawyer, etc., to develop a manageable repayment plan for them. People may not realize how common stillbirth is. How many babies are stillborn each year? The United States reported 24,000 stillbirths in 2014. During the 1940s, improvements in maternity care led to a dramatic reduction in stillbirths. However, more recently, this decline has slowed or halted. This graph shows the rate of stillbirth over time by the number of completed weeks of pregnancy in the United States from 1990 through 2017. The blue line here shows the rate of early stillbirth, meaning at 20 to 27 completed weeks. The red line shows the rate of late stillbirth, meaning at 28 or more completed weeks of pregnancy. Starting with the 24 data, the obstetric estimate of gestation at delivery replaced the gestational age measure based on the date of the last normal menses. introducing a discontinuity in early and late fetal mortality rates from earlier years. Rates calculated using different measures are non-comparable. This figure here shows that the rate of stillbirth varies considerably by race and Hispanic origin of the mother. The rate for non-Hispanic white women was 4.89 per 1,000 live births and stillbirths. This rate is similar to that for Asian or Pacific Islander women, who had a stillbirth rate of 4.29. In stark contrast, the rate of stillbirth for non-Hispanic black women was 10.32, more than twice the rate for non-Hispanic white women. The rate for American Indian or Alaska Native women was 7.22 and the rate for Hispanic women was 5.22. On these next two slides are my resources where I think that they could help with my topic. The Tiny Miracles Foundation, started in 2004, is one of the first organizations to offer a range of parent support services in hospitals for the parents of premature babies. They are a local Fairfield and New Haven County, Connecticut organization currently partnering with 6 area hospitals in their community. Through their programs, the Tiny Miracles Foundation strives to promote the best possible care for children born too early and those who love and care for them. The Tiny Miracles Foundation is a not-for-profit organization recognized as tax-exempt under Internal Revenue Code Section 501(c)(3). Their mission is to help families of infants born prematurely in Fairfield and New Haven counties in Connecticut. The Tiny Miracles Foundation Incorporated is a volunteer-based organization that provides emotional support, practical assistance, supplies, and information to parents of children born prematurely. The Tiny Miracles Foundation does not provide medical advice or services. The contents of the website, their online community or brochure, and other Tiny Miracles Foundation materials, services, and offerings are provided for informational purposes only and are not intended and should not be used to replace the advice of healthcare professionals. Women and their families benefit from this wonderful nonprofit organization that advocates for postpartum mood and anxiety disorders. For Cherish Mom, their mission is to promote awareness and education about perinatal mental health and the importance of self-care to new moms, families, healthcare professionals, and the community at large. One of their primary projects will be to provide free self-care boxes to new moms after they watch a series of educational videos about perinatal mood and anxiety disorders. In this resource, I have a video attached to where they're just giving like a background and their mission of what Cherish Mom is about and how it started and how it began. This assignment taught me a lot of things I didn't know before or had never considered. The pain of losing someone is excruciating. Losing your child endures for months or even years. My research has shown that many parents who have lost their child report they feel they can only exist and that anything beyond that seems nearly impossible. In conclusion, the death of a child is a huge loss for anyone. Grief needs to be understood as being very deep inside a person, and for healing to take place, it does need to come out. However, how, when, and at what rate that happens is unique to everyone. There is no correct or wrong way to grieve. One of the greatest gifts a counselor can give to a grieving couple is equal support for both of them. Walk with them through the grief process, help them reconnect to their families and to themselves as they have new identities and the need to overcome barriers to their new identity. Give them a safe place to be empathically understood as well as a place to grieve safely in whatever manner they need to give them reassurance, and most of all, help them as a couple to communicate to each other about their separate experience of grief over the death of their child while allowing them to validate each other's different grief response. It is a profound, difficult, and painful experience to lose a child, regardless of age. While bereavement is stressful whenever it occurs, studies continue to provide evidence that the greatest stress, and often the most enduring one, occurs for parents who experience the death of a child. Individuals and families have many capabilities and abilities that allow them to respond to interpersonal loss and to emerge from the experience changed but not broken. Thank you for this opportunity, Dr. Johnson, to make this presentation, and thank you for a wonderful spring semester. I hope you enjoyed it and learned from it as well.